Welcome to another episode of Assembling Titans. This week's matchup is the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm here to give you guys a rundown on their roster. What do I think they'll do? How do I think they'll attack the Tennessee Titans this week? Eddie George is getting his jersey retired along with Steve McNair. The energy at that stadium will be absolutely phenomenal and crazy. I already know. And, this is going to be a game that they're saying is going to be record-breaking heat for September in Nashville. So it's going to be a hot game. It's going to be energetic. The flow of the game, that's probably going to be a very important factor. It's going to be a lot of things that both teams are going to have to deal with when it comes down to just being mentally tough. There's a lot of distractions going on. Obviously, the heat that I mentioned, and then both of these teams require you to think a lot. A lot of times people think that the Tennessee Titans is just a smash mouth, run it down your throat type of team. But as we saw last week in the Arthur Smith offense, is this team knows how to attack you in several different ways and not just one way. They're multiple on offense now. The Colts have always been multiple, especially under the tutelage of Frank Reich. And defensively, they're cover two. So Titans are more multiple on defense. So it's like this is going to be a showdown, and I know it's going to be a great game back and forth. I'm hoping it's a shootout. I want to really see this Titans offense. I want to see what they can do in the passing game. So offensively, for the Colts, you guys have – obviously, you have Jacoby Brissett, the starter right now, seeing the fact that Andrew Luck retired. A lot of people think, this game's in the bag because Andrew Luck's not playing. Well, we beat up on Jacoby Brissett back in 2017 when Andrew Luck was out. But that's not an indication of the type of player he is or the type of team they are currently. They are a well-improved team, needless to say, than 2 years ago. Jacoby Brissett is a big, strong quarterback, 6'4", 240 with the cannon. He has an assortment of throws, a very good passing catalog. And what do I mean by passing catalog? I mean that he can throw, a bullet pass. He can throw the floater. He has nice touch. He has great ball placement. So, you're not really, and I said this before, you're not really losing much going from Brissett to Luck other than maybe some experience at the position. And that entails making better reads, being a veteran, knowing certain situations that Jacoby hasn't seen yet. And then, Andrew Luck is a little bit better runner. I think they evade the pocket very similarly within the pocket. But once Andrew Luck got past the line of scrimmage, he's a different runner than Jacoby Brissett. So I think that the Tennessee Titans, they can't slack on, Jacoby Brissett. He's a above average quarterback. And obviously his backup, Brian Hoyer, who knows if we do see him. It's a quarterback that small in stature in terms of, frame and build, but he knows how to run an offense. His arm isn't on the level of Brissett or Luck in terms of arm strength, but he has some movement skills. Not the best athlete for those that know Brian Hoyer, so I wouldn't be really shaking in my boots if he came into the game, even though he has good history versus this team. So that's kind of how the quarterback position is with this team. A very solid group overall. Good experience backing up Brissett. Brissett is a great quarterback in general. Running back position, Marlon Mack, speedster. I mean that's the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Marlon Mack. Plays behind his pads, has learned to play behind his pads a little bit. Had some injury issues a little bit early in his career, but I think he's gotten past that. I think he's a player that, you certainly have to account for and make sure you wrap up because he can take it to the house. Behind him is Hines, and I think that's the type of player that will be huge in their game plan and will really get to that point. But he's the type of player that's compact, can catch out of the backfield. He's their version of our Dion Lewis. He can catch out of the backfield and send him out as a receiver at the receiver position. He can catch the football, like I already said, built low to the earth, has a good amount of speed on him. So he's a versatile piece within that offense, and I think they'll highlight him in a game like this for sure. Jordan Wilkins isn't a slouch as well. He had a good game against us in Indianapolis. I think it was last year. Just a hard runner. Runs kind of high, but he has enough speed to do damage and slash through your defense. Tight end position, Eric Ebron and Jack Doyle. I mean, they're probably a top 5, top 10 tight end duo in this league. Eric Ebron is a red zone dynamo, big body guy, smart, knows this offense. He's a guy that I think they'll definitely be using a lot as well. Him and Jack Doyle just really occupying the middle of the field and trying to attack the Tennessee Titans from the inside out. Offensive line, Costanzo and Nelson and Kelly, Braden Smith and Mark over there at right guard. I think these guys overall is a solid group. They're coached well. I think if there's any weakness on that line, it is the right side. We're going at Glowinski and Braden Smith. Scouted Braden Smith. I thought he could be a guard or a tackle. Costanzo over there with Quentin Nelson. Quentin Nelson, without a doubt, is the best offensive lineman that they have for sure. But Costanzo, he can get beat. I think Landry had a sack versus him last matchup we had versus the Colts, so he's not unstoppable. I think Landry is has a good matchup. And then from there, the wide receiver core, you got T.Y. Hilton, Zach Pascal, Deion Kane, Paris Campbell, Chester Rogers. All of these players provide, some type of skill set that helps that offense. T.Y. Hilton, low compact guy, speedster, and strong for his size for sure. Zach Pascal is a guy that kind of has speed as well as size. He was a former Titan, number 14. Number 13 is T.Y. Hilton. Number 85 is Eric Ebron. 84 is Jack Doyle, for those that want to know for numbers, just kind of retract. And 25 is Marlon Mack. 21 is Hines. Jacoby Brissett, the guy that's going to have the ball most of the time, number 7. These guys are extremely explosive. I like Deion Kane's tape coming out of Clemson. Number 11 for the Colts. I think that he has that spectacular catch ability. Big, long, athletic, enough speed to get past guys and use that big frame and leaping ability to make plays. Chester Rogers, he had a punt return in Indy last year that got called back. So I think that, it was for a touchdown and all, and it got called back last year. So I think that's somebody that we have to watch in the return game if they employ him at that position. Paris Campbell is a speedster that I really like at Ohio State. He has one speed and it's fast. I'm serious. His second year is his first year. So if he gets the ball, he could be gone. Haven't really seen much from him in terms of the preseason. But trust me, it's a player that I'm sure the Titans are definitely keying in if they try to employ him. And I think that, once we get down to schemes and how each other will attack each other, how we will attack each other, I think that screen game, just kind of getting him the ball around the line of scrimmage, him and T.Y., I think that it's a piece that they might try to gash this defense with. And that's really offensively, collectively, as that group, I just feel like they have a lot of variance in their wide receiver core. I think they have speed at the running back position, enough to kind of get these linebackers out in space. You have a quarterback that can get the ball in any spot. I don't doubt Jacoby Brissett's ability to get the ball anywhere. Deep accuracy, probably not as good as Andrew Luck there. So if there's a target deep, Titans have a chance there. But certainly these guys are no slouch. I think that in this game, first game was really because it was such a blowout early in Indianapolis last year, 24-0 start. It really was just a conservative. Titans didn't have Dean Pease in that game, played some man, got a lot of shot plays with Ty. Ty had himself a day. And then that second game in Tennessee, Logan Ryan wasn't playing, but you had your defensive coordinator back, and it was a different story with Ty. Ty was injured, so it was kind of a tale of two different games. But either way, I noticed that Indianapolis started off faster than the Tennessee Titans in terms of scoring points. So I know that the Tennessee Titans, and I know that Mike Vrabel, being the type of coach that he is he knows that the Titans have to steal a possession, probably in an unorthodox way. You have to score points in an unorthodox way, whether that's on special teams. You obviously have to win the field position battle, or some type of onside kick to gain an extra possession. I truly believe that's probably going to be in the back pocket of this coaching staff. If it's not every week, I don't know how they game plan, but you're going to have to get an extra possession, because I believe this is the type of perfect storm. The coach should be 1-0. I think that this week one, we're all excited. Recency bias kicks in. A lot of this emotional things happen week one. But at the end of the day, this Colts team is a good team. And no disrespect to Andrew Luck, but it's a good offense. It's a good system, period. And they should be 1-0. They should have beat the Chargers. So instead of looking at them as a team that got beat by the Chargers, you should probably be thinking they would have beaten a Charger team probably by double digits had they, made some field goals and things like that. But every week you can say that, but certainly with them, that's the reality, and that's how the Tennessee Titans should look at this team. I think they'll attack this defense like they did the last game. Lots of screen passes to Hines, kind of using him more in the passing game, getting him out on linebackers. Hope they're going to try to find ways to get T.Y. Hilton the ball, but I'm pretty sure that we'll have a good game plan surrounding T.Y. as long as he's not on Adoree Jackson. I just think that's not a good matchup whatsoever, but I think they'll be creative in trying to get him the football. But I think, like I said, Eric Ebron and Jack Doyle trying to control that middle, deep crosses and posts, versus linebacker matchups, safety matchups to kind of try to get the ball down the field. So I think that they'll have tight ends. Mo Alley Cox is another very athletic, extremely athletic tight end, number 81, that I think they'll try to be tight end multiple, up to 2 or 3 tight ends to kind of get the Titans in their base defense to take some of those defensive backs off the field. And if we do get caught with having those extra defensive backs, they're going to run the football. So it's a very simple cat and mouse game. They'll do a lot of stuff close to the line of scrimmage. And that's really that. And I think defensively, what the Tennessee Titans have to do within this game, they have to be able to do the simple things correct. Know your gaps, keep contained, and do your job to the T. And I know it's something that you say every week, but with this team, they're not going to beat themselves. I don't see this as a game where they beat themselves. They rarely ever do. You're going to have to go out there and take it. You're going to have to force a turnover, get your hands up, get to the quarterback. They're going to max protect. They know that we can rush the passer. We have excellent edge rushers now. They know that we like to send defensive backs on blitzes, and that's where the screen game comes in, and timing and situation and the feel of the game. So it's going to come down to that. That's why I think just to get back on track, the Titans are going to have to steal an extra possession, just to get more points. Bracketing T.Y., probably the best matchup versus him, if you're talking about man, is probably a guy like Logan Ryan, who has enough speed and is technical enough to kind of understand how to beat a guy like T.Y., as opposed to someone who's super athletic, and fast, like Adoree, who might not be technically sound just yet. And then other guys, you can't sleep on, when they put in Chester Rogers or Paris Campbell, is just going to be is what it is. Paris Campbell is young, so Adoree Jackson might be able to man down that. But if you miss a tackle, he's gone. So it is. I think the Tennessee Titans know of Adoree Jackson enough and will pick on him. The Indianapolis Colts know of Adoree Jackson and will pick on him enough. He's going to be the defensive back that when Jacoby Brissett sees number 25 on the field, he's going to go to him, most of the time if it's not Ebron or T.Y. Hilton. Defensively, Jabal Sheard and Kamoko Toure seems to be out for this game. Jonathan Williams, also a running back for the Colts, he's out or doubtful for this game. So those three players probably not going to play for the Colts. And that's good for the Titans because Jabal Sheard is a good, kind of two-way guy that can play against the run and is a good pass rusher. Kamoko Toure is a good pass rusher himself. So those two guys being out, it's good for the Titans, but they have a young guy like Ben Banagoo that's going to come in. Muhammad's in there, number 97. So they still got Justin Houston. So they still have some good pass rushers, just missing in the depth department a little bit for this game. They employ a cover two on defense. Really, when you run that kind of defense, you're trusting pretty much your guys. You're looking at the quarterback. You're trusting their ability to stay in their zone, read their zone, attack, and wrap up. And they have smart corners, Pierre Desir. They have Kenny Moore, who's predominantly in like a Logan Ryan role for them right now in the slot. They got the rookie Rocky Sin, who's perfect for a cover two scheme, super aggressive. On the back end, they got Malik Hooker, extremely opportunistic ball hawk back there from Ohio State. And then they got their other safety kind of rotates. They got Kari Willis, a rookie, that they kind of let him be out there. And I when I was watching tape on him, super aggressive effort player. I had him as kind of like a special teamer, but he's worked his way on that defense. And I think just like when the Colts are on the field, they see number 25, they want to test him. I think Tennessee Titans when they're on the field, they should test Kari Willis, who I believe his number is 37. So, yeah, I knew it in my head, but I wanted to make sure. Number 37 is Kari Willis. You got Odom out there that's 30, who's pretty much in the same boat as Willis. You see those young guys out there, you want to go and attack them. That's the same thing for Rocky Sin, number 34. He's a great player when he can see it, but when he starts running and, his back is to the quarterback, I call that routes on air. You know what I'm saying? You got to let it fly. And no team is always one thing. So in terms of having a team, be, in their base cover two, sometimes they go to man. I even, after watching them last year, just attacking that defense, I think that you have to be able to be okay taking your checkdowns. And versus a cover two, the middle of the field, especially those deep posts, you have to be able to not be scared to, be aggressive in the middle of the field because, it's two safeties splitting the field. If you're able to find some good post routes with Corey Davis, I think this is the type of game for Corey Davis, a big body receiver that can go through the middle and make those tough catches for this team. Don't be afraid to check it down. I think that both Derrick Henry and Dion Lewis is very important in this game. Dion Lewis in the passing game, his ability to get out there and spread out the defense, especially that second level linebackers, be able to make people miss and be a safety valve. Delaney Walker, the same thing, just being able to man that middle, be sure-handed, and be able to keep the chains moving for Marcus Mariota. The same thing with Adam Humphries. I don't think they should have like a target count necessarily, but if there is any game you should have a target count, you want to go Corey Davis's way 5 to 7 times. You want Delaney to get 10 targets. You want Adam Humphries, a guy that can move, change. You want him to be able to get the football and really have a clock control game. That's what you want every week, but I just think that the Titans have the type of players that can certainly defeat this type of defense. Linebacking core, we all know, just to keep it moving, linebacking core, we all know Darius Leonard, the rookie, number 53, that can just run everywhere, make tackles. They got Walker in the middle, very smart, tough player. They got athletes everywhere, man. That defensive line is certainly impressive. They got this defense is basically a long, feisty bunch up front with Margus Hunt and Danico Autry. And, they know how to get after the quarterback, and they're not going to quit. So I think their strength on defense is their scheme. It's within their scheme. It's a athletic, linebacking core to some degree. I think that we can attack them in certain positions. Their length at the line of scrimmages is impressive. But like I said, I think that the same thing goes against this defense. Don't try to do too much. Read your keys. It's cover two. Don't be afraid to check down. And I think I was going to say this earlier, but on Twitter, just certain moments, like there's this play that the Jets did last year that they were running a lot of screens, a lot of wide receiver screens, and had the, basically trips formation, had, maybe the furthest wide receiver, maybe Robbie Anderson, let's say it's the Jets, right? They had Chris Herndon, and they had maybe another receiver out there. And what they would do was run screens, be very, kind of switch it up a little bit and let them know that we're trying to run screens versus you. And whether or not they were in cover two or man, when you go to trips in cover two, what they would do was lull them to sleep, thinking it's going to be screen, and then they would switch it up a little bit. Well, this one play, which was an explosive play, that ended up being a touchdown, was they went to the screen look. Robbie Anderson stepped back as if he was about to catch a pass for a screen. The usual blocker, Chris Herndon, released for a route, basically just a go route, kind of outside release go route. And then, Sam Darnold was able to hit him up for a touchdown. And it's one of those plays where you just lull people to sleep and hit them at the right time. That's needed in this game. So I'm very excited to see how the Tennessee Titans are going to attack this team. There's certainly, a lot that's going to be at stake in this game for sure. So I think that overall, looking at both rosters, is something that's going to be very important, that we need to really stay focused on our keys and really know what we're going to do to attack this team inside and out. And I think that with this coaching staff, they've proven that they can, go against anybody and defeat them. So I think it's a game that you got to watch your temperament. It's so early in the season that a lot of times players, like I said, that play that I mentioned, players get used to what you're doing, and then you can usually use something off of that play later on in the game. Like I just mentioned, the screen to the tight end release. I think that when I watch tape of both of these teams playing for the last 3-4 times, what is a common theme is the Colts jumping out early and the Titans having to claw their way back. For whatever reason, we don't start fast versus this team. I'm not somebody that believes in start fast. I just believe that be prepared to play 60 minutes. Every game is different. So you never know what's going to happen in the game, and you have to be ready to play regardless, whether you're up 20-0 and this is the second or third quarter. You can't let up. You got to protect your lead. And I don't mean to be passively protect your lead. You need to be aggressive, not anything unintelligent, but still, protect your lead. And then when you're down, of course, it's comeback time. So I think that, yes, the statement is we don't start fast versus this team, but do what you're supposed to do. Seize the moment. There shouldn't be a filling out stage. We know these guys. Everybody's there. Other than your film study and knowing your roster, skill set, they're gonna do pretty much the same thing and try to trick you just like you're trying to trick them. This Tennessee Titans team, like what we like to see was we're going to see Derrick Henry early, and what we want to see is Derrick Henry rip one early and kind of impose his will early, and to do it in unpredictable moments. First play of this game probably shouldn't be a run play to Derrick Henry. It probably should be a play action play or a straight up pass play. Wildcat has been something that has worked for the Tennessee Titans in the past, probably averaging seven yards per rush out of that, and that's not a probably that is they're averaging seven or 8 yards per rush out of the Wildcat, especially early in downs. So it's a situation to go back to that. And I've always said, eventually I'd like to see a pass from the Wildcat one day when need be at the right time. I think that the Titans have to be, and we talked about it, just to kind of preface, we talked about it last week, the team versus the Browns. We talked about it. The team that would be themselves first and most often was going to win that game. And the Tennessee Titans were themselves. They knew their personnel better, it seemed like, and they just stuck to it. This is the type of game of knowing your personnel and being unpredictable from your predictability. So it's good to be predictable because guess what? People at least think they know what you're going to do. You know what you're going to do, and you've done it repetitiously enough to trust yourself. Now it's time to be predictable and using that predictability to your advantage and doing something different off of that predictability. And I think that's the type of game, because we know each other so well, you have to continue to always be innovative in that way. Guys, like I said, the guys on offense, guys like Corey Davis, Delaney Walker, Tajay Sharp, if he gets in the mix, guys that's going to be on the inside attacking that cover two are going to be extremely important. And you got to know your personnel. You got to know Rocky Sin is extremely aggressive. You got to know Kari Willis, and based on my study, shouldn't be out there. He should be a special teamer, and that's not no disrespect to Kari Willis. I loved his Michigan State tape. He's a guy that I want on my team because he's feisty, he's aggressive. But I thought, maybe he was a year 2, year 3 backup to eventually be a starter once he got the ropes. But that's a credit to his ability to learn that defense, and he's obviously showing them that he can do something. So it's going to be an exciting game. And before we wrap up, it's basically, that's just what it is. I gave you guys basically a rundown of their roster, how I think some things should go down, and how the Tennessee Titans should attack them. I don't want to go on loops, making sure that I got everybody. There's some players that's deeper on the roster. Marvell Tell, he's a guy that's, for Titans fans, he's shaped like Ty Smith, very long. He might get in the game in certain situations, guarding Corey Davis. Who knows? You never know how coaches employ their game plans and who they want in their matchups. But Marvell Tell, number 39, is somebody that you can look at. EJ Speed is just a long guy that's, built very similarly to Darius Leonard. Darius Leonard is a little bit more instinctual. Bobby Okereke, number 58, just a guy that's, to me, more of a special teamer, but still a guy that's going to go out there and play hard. We mentioned Muhammad. Taquan Lewis is an energy guy. Matthew Adams, Anthony Walker, we mentioned him. Quincy Wilson is a guy that intercepted Marcus Mariota last year. Tall, big corner, good for that cover 2 defense. But like I said, my tape on him wasn't nothing impressive. This cover 2 masks unathletic corners. It's not to say he isn't a good corner. He's just an unathletic corner. So the Titans, they got some pretty athletic corners. And I haven't even mentioned A.J. Brown going up against these guys. You just got to be tough. And I think this is the type of game, due to his inexperience, you may see him not have as big of a result consistently, but I can certainly see him making a clutch play when everything lines up. I only say Corey Davis and Delaney Walker because you got to be able to read your keys, sit in zones, kind of be smart, because this is a smart secondary. It is a smart defense collectively. Back to their offense, I mentioned Mo Alley Cox, mentioned all their receivers. So, defensively, like I said, based on their matchups, you got to be able to wrap up. They're going to try to screen game you with Hines, and they're going to continue to try to spread you out and then come back in a more compact personnel grouping to get you back into base, try to run off of that and give Jacoby Brissett 1-2 man reads using Ebron and T.Y. Hilton, his favorite go-to guy. So it's going to be an extremely, back and forth game. I hope it is, at least, man. I hope it's a shootout. I want to see this Tennessee Titans team, just what they can do in those type of situations. For the fantasy owners, I don't know what to tell you. Like I said, if you have a deeper league and you just need points here and there on the back end, a sleeper guy would be Corey Davis, Delaney Walker. If you already aren't starting him, neither one of these defenses. I'm not sure if I would start either one of these defenses. I think that these guys want to put up points. I don't think that they're tucking their tails. I'm talking about the Colts. I don't think they're tucking their tails because, Andrew Luck's not here. Obviously last week they showed no signs of that. This is an offense that wants to put up points, trust the quarterback, use their tight ends, and use their deep threats, and work from inside out, and then from the line of scrimmage out. Check down to touchdown, touchdown and check down. In the Tennessee Titans, we saw what they can do with their personnel groupings. So it's going to be exciting. I'm not going to talk you guys, to boredom. I know that, you guys want to be entertained, and this was just, fact after fact, or more about roster personnel, guys, what they can do, things like that. Thanks for tuning in to Simlin Titans. This is great to have you on. Great to have you guys listening. Thanks for tuning in. Man, if you're a Tennessee Titans fan and you see this before, let's go to the game. Let's be loud for these guys on third down when the Colts have the ball, and let's be loud and let's kind of just embrace the moment. Two legends, Steve McNair and Eddie George. Two moments. That's a good way to end. Two moments from these legends that kind of helped me. Become a Tennessee Titans fan and kind of take my respect for them to another level, starting with Steve McNair. I've said this before. Nobody knows of this play. I'm pretty sure that, the Tennessee Titans faithful can recall. Yeah, I think the year is 2005. It's versus the Oakland Raiders. It's in Tennessee. We ended up losing the game, spoiler alert, but it's this place. I think it's before halftime or the beginning of the third, maybe even fourth. It was basically a third down or a fourth down where we went for it, and it was a Steve McNair scramble where, we needed this kind of play to kind of, the momentum was going to the Raiders in the game. Nothing was going our way, and it was like if we punted this ball, if we turned the ball over back to them, it was kind of, it was going to be just a snowball effect. And, what he did was tuck the ball. And if you remember Steve McNair when he ran, man, it was just like a locomotive. The change of direction wasn't sharp. It was like all of his weight going one way. And it was just so playground, back in school, back at school or in the backyard playing football. It always had that element and feel to it. And he got that first down, man. And it was just something that I always remember. Like, I never really had like a favorite player in the NFL. I just liked players. I learned from players. I liked teams. I liked the Tennessee Titans. I respected the Tennessee Titans. Juxtaposed to the NBA where I did have favorite players. But this was just really a team. And I was like, he's my favorite player. And I started watching the Titans probably – since they come here, but actually being an intelligent fan to some degree. 05 it started, 06 when I started to get in my, the early teens to middle teens. And, that's just a moment that I remember. And with Eddie George, that was the back end when he, I saw him on the Cowboys. But during his days with the Tennessee Titans, it's that 2003, I guess it's '04 really. It's the 2003 season when we're playing in Baltimore and we win on a field goal versus them. And he, runs over or runs into or they fall together. Just that clashing of Titans, no pun intended, with Ray Lewis, that the competitive nature between those two, and then to see them today just be, cool. It's good to see, but those battles were epic, and just that game and him imposing his will that game, and just the respect, just seeing that man, be so big, be so long. That was my first time seeing a running back with that type of physique. As a talent evaluator, this is all creating, great prototypes for how I watched the game. He was the first that I seen, So those two guys, kudos to them. They deserve all of it. I just wish that they would have, been able to get a ring, because that's why we do it. But, they left us with some great memories, great teaching points, just great to learn from overall. And just to keep this Titan heritage going is very important. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, subscribe if you like this video, if it helped you, if you enjoyed it, and tighten up, and you guys have a great time at the game. And I'll see you guys either later this week with my guys talking about some prospects, or next week as we talk about on a short week as we play the Jaguars on Thursday. First things first, let's play these Colts. Let's have a good game. God bless, guys.